Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio for this? Good. Is do I have the volume turned up? I fooled around with this. Uh, okay, great. Thanks. I I had a disaster Friday. Anyway, this is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 22nd day of May, and it is Monday. Wonderful, wonderful Monday. So we have had these indices. They've all been in happy land this morning. Um, the NQ has been really strong. So I don't know. We do have a lot of NQ traders in the room, and it certainly did take off. YM had a nice run right straight off of settlement. Um, so if if you're new to Apex and you're wondering just how significant some of these deviation levels are, the answer to that I could give you from looking at this for quite a while is very, especially settlement. That is that's a really big price level, virtually on every market. Right now, I'm kind of thinking. Crude oil has been above settlement all morning and all night really, um, but it is now putting in a red E, and it may go down, break through the low of the day uh, to settlement. Daryl has a lot of videos. I know there are a lot of videos that Daryl has, but there have been several where he makes a reference to the real strong magnetic behavior of settlement. And once markets have gone one way or the other, they tend to make a run back to settlement or darn close to it going into the close of whatever market that is. This morning for the Forex traders, the that should have been pretty nice. The dollar euro, that really did its job of mirroring almost exactly. The dollar sold off and the euro was up, up, up. So the currencies, all of the other currencies tend to drift up when the dollar goes down and vice versa. So by watching the dollar, you can glean a lot of information to just have an idea where it is. Bonds this morning, as far as I'm concerned, have been untradeable. I took a look at that early this morning and said, I don't think so. Thank you very much. Super. It put in 3 hours worth. 3 hours. No, well, it was close to 30-minute dojis, and it's just gone nowhere, chopping back and forth. And the interesting thing on the order print is 3 bars in a row have been clusters. 3 in a row, and it's doing nothing. So that's one thing. Uh, we we pretty much come to the conclusion on particularly the commodities. Those clusters, uh, they tend to portend some movement coming. So and sometimes they're a reversal, but that's not 100%. But they are certainly significant price levels. So um, we've had a lot of news coming out of the Middle East over the weekend, and so it was kind of interesting to see what oil would do. Thursday we have an OPEC meeting this week, uh, so stay alert on Thursday, especially the day after the crude oil inventory. they are, they seem to be at it, usually they talk and talk and talk, and then everybody goes home and does whatever they were going to do in the first place. But the last couple of meetings, they have really stuck to their guns about putting production caps on in an attempt to keep the price above 50 anyway. And so if they get on the same page this week, they may extend this. They've tried to do it for 3 months and 6 months at a time, but this is where their last time extension is about to expire, and they would like to extend that on into the fall. So that's something to be aware of on the back burner. And also later this week, I'm not sure what day, I think it's Thursday or Friday, there will be um, you will get an announcement that just pops up on your computer, but uh, gold is about to roll. The futures contract is about to roll, and gold does not go from month to month like crude oil does. Crude oil is very simple. It's whatever month you're on. When it rolls, it goes to the next month. Crude oil, not so much. So I think it's going to go to, it skips July, I believe. It goes to August, and we're trading June right now. So pay attention. When you get those little boxes that pop up and tell you about contract rolls and any other significant anything, please pay attention to those, because they're put up there for your own safety and information, and don't just close those things and ignore them. And not too much news on Monday morning, but that's about to change tomorrow. Lots and lots of numbers releases, especially from Europe in the early hours, and then throughout the morning there will be U.S. Numbers releases. Nothing too significant. Wednesday is crude oil inventory, and just before that crude oil inventory comes out at 10 o'clock, be real aware if you're a crude oil trader, because the Bank of Canada is going to have its bank rate statement and their overnight rate, and they may adjust that. The Canadian dollar is typically the currency indicator on crude oil, so that is a significant number that's going to be released 30 minutes before on Wednesday. And then Thursday we have, my personal favorite, the claimed unemployment. I think these unemployment claims are being a little, shall we say, more truthful than they have been, but they are certainly being watched as much more significant indicators by the big boys. Than they finally just kind of gave up on whatever. And then on Friday, be really aware of Friday morning at 8:30. That is a GDP. It's the U.S. GDP preliminary quarter over quarter is coming out, and that is being watched very, very close. Excuse me, very closely by the big boys, because that's a significant indicator of the U.S. economy in a bigger picture. Also, let's see, the gold. We're going to roll gold. I think that's about it. This is the last trading week of May, so when we get to Thursday and Friday, there is likely to be more volume coming into these markets, because the big boys will start to move money around. A lot of them take off for 3 and 4 day weekends over Memorial Day, and they get a lot of money at the end of the month moved before they take off. So just be aware that that can happen. And if last week, I also wanted to point out, I know some of you think Lou always is really good about putting the VIX and the volatility index numbers in early in the morning. And I know I keep been harping and watching on this VIX, but if you recall last week when there was a significant sell-off in these markets, that VIX popped up over 15. So this is why we kind of pay attention to it if this is something that's new to you. And you're kind of thinking about, well, it looks like the market might go this way or that way or whatever, and I wonder how significant the movement might be. It's always a good idea. If the VIX is very low, the answer to that would be not too much. The markets don't move, especially when the implied volatility is really low, and that's what the VIX is telling us. It's kind of how much fear is built into the market. But when that thing popped up, boy, those indices really sold off. So that's why we pay attention to that. And anyway, if you have access to this, I mean, if you're listening to this as a recording and you have access to this chat, be sure you come back in this chat. There have been some very good posts in this. John's been in explaining some of the differences between the spreads and the futures pricing and how all that works. And thanks, Denali, Denali just posted something to really keep in mind about what happens with a big news event in those Nadex contracts. So, Abdul, what number is high? I don't know. I've seen it over 50, but that's very unusual. Very unusual. Right around 13-ish is considered par. It's very low if it gets into 10. It has been below 10, I think, once in the last, I don't know, 6 months or something. But when it gets to 15 and then it starts to move up from there, as long as it's moving up, typically there is a lot of selling going on in the markets. And it can also portend that money is being moved out of equities and into bonds. So you have to kind of get an idea of the bigger picture of what's causing some of this stuff. It doesn't just happen out of the blue. Once you're aware of how significant certain news events can affect some of these markets, it's kind of common sense, but it's something you don't notice and you don't pay attention to until somebody kind of draws your attention to it. We are also winding down earnings. I think Alibaba it's today, I know. I've forgotten if it was before the market or after. But these big companies that have, they are significantly traded, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is not the point, whether the stock is overvalued or undervalued or whatever it is. But things like Facebook and Amazon and Apple and Alibaba and all this, the big market movers, they can really cause these markets to move significantly at the open and then going into the close, because keep in mind, when they say they're going to announce earnings after the close, what that means in English is they're going to announce those after 4 o'clock, right after 4 o'clock. And futures traders love that because they can trade while the stock market, stocks and options are all closed at 4 o'clock. The futures markets will continue to trade another 15 minutes. And there can be some big time moves in that 15 minutes for especially people that like to scalp futures. If it's really moving, I would caution you to be sure you have got your contracts closed out ahead of 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes ahead of that 4:15 close, because when everybody's piling on, it's possible for the market to run right on past your take profit and leave you sitting there, and you can get a significant margin call if you don't have those things closed out. So anyway, just word to the wise there. So it looks like